Hey everybody, Mark Lewis here for Legacy Setting. Today, we're going to talk about something that I'm very excited about because of the nature of incorporation and what incorporation can bring so much flexibility and ways to get around problems that we're having. And I've talked for years about how it can help with taxes and asset protection and lawsuit proofing and building corporate credit, all that stuff. But today we're going to talk about how you can get around having a terrible FICO score. Check this out. I'm going to go here and here and here. All right. So if you happen to have a bad FICO score, and the kind of bad FICO score where you're like, this is really hard. And well, we have credit repair opportunities, credit enhancement, reorganization, but you've got a bankruptcy. You've got an IRS tax lien. There was a time in my life where I had both. Eek. We can't really help you here. I'm sorry to say. This means that none of these things here are really going to help you. You're kind of stuck for the 10 years on both of these that are going to be here. And by the way, if you got an IRS tax lien and they sent you the lien in the mail, please don't throw that away. That is how you're going to get rid of your tax lien. Very sneaky how they do it. So, how do we get around it? Well, one of the things that we can do, in fact, the best thing that we can do probably is a corporate solution where we bypass your FICO altogether. We're not trying to hide anything or anything like that, but it's the nature of the limited liability nature from the Department of the Redundancy Department that allows us to create a corporate asset with multiple members that is greater than the sum of its parts. Check it out. First of all, we got to understand what is an LLC. Now, you can do this with an S Corp, you can do it with a C Corp, but LLC is the easiest one for us to set up and work with. So, limited liability, what is that? The LL part of the LLC basically is a state mandated law that says that the members of the company itself are not liable for any lawsuits or malpractice or anything else that might come against the company and then flash back onto their private assets. So somebody sues the limited liability company, they have no access to your personal assets. Now, why you have personal assets in the first place is another whole mistake. Please don't. But it means that also the taxes that are possibly due you are also limited in liability and spread out across the nature of the ownership of the company. So if you have a LLC that has 2 or 3 members, then the taxes from the LLC, the tax liabilities from the LLC get spread out to those members. In fact, LLCs never pay tax. Only the members of an LLC do. So that's why we set them up with a C Corp. But the tax, generally speaking, maximum is about 21%. They lowered it in the last year. You're under the Uniform Commercial Code, which is the second highest law in the land, not to mention you're incorporated under a sovereign state, which means the federal has no jurisdiction to mess with you. You get preferred credit and capital opportunities, which you already know if you've been through our funding program, because you have to have that LLC, that EIN, that bank account already set up in order to give that to you, because they ain't going to give it to social slaves. And you're multi-member with those combined resources. We're going to talk about what that means in a second. And that's the answer. Don't do this with a sole proprietor LLC. I've gone on and on about how the IRS calls these so-called sole proprietors disregarded entities because they're really just you fooling around with an alter ego, and it doesn't really give you much in the realm of what we need to have done here to bypass and get around that bad FICO problem. So get those multi-member LLCs made or updated. And if you don't know how to do that, reach out. So a multi-member LLC allows you to have democracy. That means that not just one person makes all the decisions. The managers or the directors of the LLC together corporately, corporately make the decisions. They vote in an affirmative fashion, and then they go into the minutes and like that. So that means no one person can just say that, oh, I run everything, or could be accused of it. Tax pass through, all the tax liabilities and profits get passed through to those members pro rata to how many shares in the company they own. It's nice because there's no commingling. No one can say, well, it's just you personally moving your funds in and out to try to avoid taxes. No, there's other people involved. In fact, there's other people on the bank account. But the most important thing for us here with FICO land is a multi-role capability via contract. Those are a lot of big words to say that these folks here basically are given their roles because they signed on a contract that they do those jobs. And not only are they jobs in the company, but they can be jobs hired by the company. Well, what's a job that you might have a company need to have done in order for the company to work well? Well, one of those jobs is somebody's got to be a bank. Somebody's got to lend the company money. Now, they may not be members in the company, but again, they could be outside the company, like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citi, whatever. Those are providing services to the company under a contract. Now, you may not think of it as a contract, like, well, it's a loan, but that's just a fancy word for a money contract. The bank agrees to do X, and you agree to do Y. And if you do Y, then the bank will do Z. Contract. Everyone agrees, and we perform. Same thing with these members. These members can act like members and managers, and they can also act like independent people outside of the bank using other resources that they have access to assist the company. And those could be personal assets. Check it out. So let's say this is you, a little person here. Could be, this is, they're, what is it? They're identifying as man here, whatever your gender is. It's you. You're the CEO, let's say. It means nothing, but let's say you were. But you got a 550 FICO. Bad news. We need to work on that credit. So you can't have any access, no access, I'm sorry to say, to our funding program or anyone else's funding program for that matter. You got some problems, bankruptcy, etc. You've got Jan. She's identifying as they. But she's got a 720. She definitely can move forward in our funding program. We make her the president, doesn't really matter, just a title. But we don't give her voting rights. Now, maybe we give some other folks voting rights who are working, but let's say we don't. Let's say we and some other managers of our company who are maybe hip on real estate. Maybe Jan doesn't know anything about real estate, but Jan's got a good FICO. We bring Jan into the company. We give her shares in the company, but no voting rights. Then we know that Jan goes through the Legacy Ascending funding program, gets $45,000, and is going to deploy it in the company. But she can't deploy it into the company because these are her personal assets. Although she's a member of the company, these are her personal assets, and that would look like co-mingling, an absolute no-no. The only way we can get these personal assets of hers into the company for deployment is via, you got it, a contract. We have to contract with Jan to be able to use her funds temporarily in a lending agreement. She's not giving them to the company. We don't ever give a company anything ever. If you hear somebody, oh, I gave my company, you have to stop them. I gave my company, stop. You didn't give them anything. And if you did, you've done something wrong, because there has to be value both ways. All parties have to have value in order for an agreement with the company to be valid. You would never lend $45,000 to the corner drugstore, right? For free. Maybe if they gave you a year's worth of groceries, but there has to be that value exchange. So in a lending agreement, Jan's going to lend the company, not give it, lend it. That means the company got to give it back. 45 grand. So now Jan's the bank. Jan's acting like a bank. How cool is that? She's also a member, and she's acting like an outside bank because her personal funds really are outside the company, but not anymore. Now they're lent to the company as a liability. Now, we don't just lend things for free. Why would Jan do that? Well, she's a member. She should give it. No. We got to give her benefit as well as a person in that lending agreement. We're going to give her 10% APR. We're going to give her back $4,500 a year. Now, for some people, that's a pretty good deal, and you can negotiate this, but then we're also going to give her a stipend. Why? Because she's taking the risk. She doesn't have voting rights. We can go and make a bad business decision and lose it all, and Jan's liable, isn't she? She's personally responsible. So that's dangerous for Jan. $45,000 dangerous, right? If the company goes bankrupt, she's still got to pay the loan. So we're going to give her 10% on her money, and we're going to give her some kind of stipend. Now, it doesn't have to be $500 a month, but it needs to be something because she's taking the maximum risk. But in order to really sweeten the deal, because some of you are like, I'd never do that, even if you put me in the company. You're not giving me voting rights? Nah, we don't want our borrowers having voting rights. We need to do our business. But what we will do, Oh, there, the company gets to use the funds. Yay. What we will do is you, the CEO, will personally guarantee the lending agreement for Jan. And you're like, well, why would I do that? Why would she do that? She's not going to do that. Even if you give her money, she knows better. But if you have a personal agreement with her saying, listen, if this all goes bankrupt, I will pay you the difference while you're paying down the loan. I won't pay you this anymore, no more 10%, but I will guarantee you what's left. Now, Jan doesn't have a reason to worry about anything. She's backed up by your personal guarantee. She's going to get money, right, from the company. She's got a win-win. And you're like, well, that's bad for me. Is it? Is it bad? Because you got no access to $45,000, none. You would be personally guaranteeing that $45,000 to the company if you went through our program anyway, right? You would still be personally guaranteed, but now you can be working on your FICO, using someone else's credit in your company. Yeah, you're going to pay them something for it, but you'd be paying someone else for it anyway. And now you're personally guaranteeing it anyway. You come out the winner. Jan comes out the winner. The company comes out the winner. You guys see this? Well, check it out. That's not all. Bob joins the company. Now, Bob doesn't have voting rights either. Bob, we make him the chief financial officer. Bob's got an 835. Bob goes through our company and gets 100 grand. Yeah. Now, Jan and Bob both have a lending agreement to the company. Company's got a buck 45, large. They're both now getting 10% APR on their loans, $500 a month each. You negotiate it. You personally guarantee them both. Now, they may not like that. They're like, you don't actually have the debt to earning income to handle this. But you're like, this is the best I can do. Me personally guaranteeing you this if it all goes belly up. Now, do they materially participate in the funds and the profits? Do they materially participate? Like, so if you make $1 million on your next deal, do they then participate? No, they do not. Not as lenders, not as the banks, because this is all they're getting. They're getting their 10% APR and their $500 a month. And if you make $1 million, they don't get a penny more. Now, you might cut them in as members, but you control the vast amount. In fact, you could buy them out and they're out. They're done. Thanks so much. Go away. Kick them out of the company. Maybe not, but you could. Now, here's the thing. Bob and Jan, Bob's making $16K a year, right? 10% on 100 grand plus 500 a month. Jan's making 10.5. You're making squat. Now, that may not feel nice to you, but in the year that you're doing this, making lots of money, you're building your FICO. Now, you got a 720 FICO a year later, maybe less, if you go through our credit repair program. Now, you loan the company, whatever it is, 45 grand that you get from going through our program. Now you're getting 10.5 a year, but more than that, because you have skin in the game, now everybody has voting rights. Once everybody has voting rights, because you got skin in the game, that Bob and Jan got skin in the game, you can kill that personal guarantee. Because now whatever you do affects all of you. You're all on the hook. Now, granted, Bob may be on the hook for a little bit more, but at this point you can negotiate because he's been making good money for a year. He made 16 grand on his 45. That's pretty good return. Now everybody's got equal voting rights and personal guarantee goes away. So if it all goes to hell in a handbasket, you don't owe them anything. But they're still happy because they just spent a year making money off of you. And that's how we do it. Your FICO doesn't come into anywhere in here until the very end if you want it to, and you still don't. That's the beauty of having a corporate structure, and one of the many, many beauties of having this go your way, and ways we can get around having bad FICOs. All right, hopefully this has been valuable to you. We'd love to see you go through our funding program and join us as an affiliate. Reach out, reach out, reach out.